I'm Spaghettikid, and I'm now going to be starting a new series, which I'm going to be playing Prison Architect. Now, a lot of people have been playing this. Sips has just started a new series, and as always, is very frustrating watching someone play a game and kind of do it in a way that's not how I would do it. So he takes a very odd approach and will kind of just not plan things out necessarily properly. He'll just very ad hoc just build things randomly, and he won't stick to a kind of pattern or anything like that. And the reason I'm going to be doing this series is just to show my way of doing it, and hopefully anyone who watches this that is struggling may be able to find tips from me playing. So I'm just going to be starting a medium prison, purely because then it gives me a bit of space if I do want to expand. Fog of War I'm going to explain in a minute. It seems to be a bit bugged. If you do turn it off, it doesn't seem to turn off, it still stays on. But I will try and turn it off just in case it does work. Continuous intake I'm going to leave off. Generate forests I will leave on, because you can create money from chopping down the trees that are spawned around lakes. I'm going to turn off because I don't want them, because it stops you from being able to build in an area. It does look nice, I suppose. And I'm going to leave generating buildings off because I don't really want to have other buildings randomly spawned. So I'm just going to click play, and straight away go and save. And I will call this YouTube, just so I know it's for YouTube. I have got some other prisons which I'll probably create an episode and show off show my other prisons. I've got quite a good, successful prison that I think is this Alpha 16 Prison 2, which I accumulated about 1 million in money, and then I sold that prison to use that £1 million of profit to build an even bigger prison. I've yet to get the even bigger prison functioning fully, but it's quite a large prison. I just straight away try to build a huge scale prison, which I don't think was a good idea. It's good starting small and then upgrading as you're playing. But anyway, I'm just going to save this game, just so I'm able to kind of go back to it if I need to. Not that I'll need to go back. Okay, so I'm just going to pause it straight away and go into planning. And what I like to do is find the middle of the map, so that you can count these lights, and there's usually one light in the middle, which at the moment is this one. So up just here, if you look, that's roughly in the middle, and I usually just draw a line straight down the middle. So what I'll then do is I'll go to rooms, and I'll change the deliveries and garage just to be outside here. However, what I am going to do is I'm going to get rid of them, and I'm going to put deliveries here, and I'll just have 5 by 10, I suppose, and then garbage I'll have a little bit smaller. You don't really need a very big garbage area, and I'll get rid of the rest of that. And this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'll probably get rid of that as well, and put another garbage so it's fairly symmetrical. And I'm also then going to get storage. Now this is something a lot of people don't realise you can have, but storage means that any random parts that are dismantled, instead of just staying where they are, they'll get taken to storage. So I think I'm actually going to shuffle this around. I'm going to move garbage over here. Where is it? Garbage. And I'll put garbage there. Now this is a trick I kind of found from somewhere, I'm not exactly sure where, but you'll notice that fence doesn't cost anything. So lots of other things like walls would all cost £50 per square, perimeter wall is £200 per square, but it is 3 blocks thick, so it's quite a kind of fancy looking fence. What I'm now going to do is literally do a fence around the whole map. And what this means is that I don't have to build enclosed areas, so I'm just going to and it will take a long time to build, but I am just going to do a big fence around the whole area. And this is really, really good, because it means that I can just build a random building and I don't have to worry about linking them up together in order to protect them from, in order to stop stop prisoners from escaping. So if you've watched other people playing, I've just noticed what I've done. If you watch other people playing, you may notice that they, instead of... Is that 10? Yes it is. They've had people just running. Basically, if you've got buildings that are open, so you had a building... Sorry, I'll show you in planning. If you had a building here, for example, another building here, and you may have paths between them, but you can then add on another building onto the side of this and another building down here. What you'll end up having is that prisoners will basically try and escape from between them. So if a guard, for example, opens this because prisoners need to get over to the building, because the door's open, all the prisoners will just make a run for it. However, if you do what I said, and I'm just going to get rid of all these foundations, and build a wall around the whole area, which I thought I'd done, but apparently not. Oh, you have, sorry. Yeah, there's a fence all around here. What will happen is, I'll just super speed it up. All the prisoners won't be able to make a path out of the prison, so there's going to be this one entrance straight at the front, which I will probably end up having a guard patrolled straight next to it. And not really sure what that guard was doing. I may actually increase the size of the thing, because we don't really need much garbage space, so I might go to rooms and have deliveries and extend that a couple of things, because to be honest you don't really need that much. If you ever get people stuck anywhere like this, you can just click on them and then move them elsewhere, because people often like getting stuck in between walls and things. All you have to do is just click on the worker and right click to move them somewhere else. Okay, so I'm just going to continue with planning. I'll leave these guys wandering around, and another thing I'm going to do that I have forgotten to is just to close off prisoners so I don't end up having prisoners there. Usually I'll wait a couple of days until I have a almost fully functioning prison, purely because if you end up having a prison that's half built and then you have prisoners, you have to be looking after the prisoners whilst trying to expand and build your prison, which generally causes problems. So you'll end up having prisoners escaping or rioting, and that just causes more problems and slows you down in building. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go back into planning and get some walls. Now I've got a fairly kind of uniform system I have for cell blocks, and I have awkward ways of doing everything. Awkward in the way that they're very symmetrical, and in some ways like OCD, they're all perfectly symmetrical and everything has a function. However, they don't look as pretty as some other designs may be, but they aren't meant to be. They're purely there just because it looks... because the function is really good. So I'm just going to shove a prison door on the front, so my guys are running through the prison trying to sort out that. Just get rid of those. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to explain what I'm going to be building. I'm not necessarily going to build it to this scale, but right at the front I'm going to have two buildings which I think need to be as close to the front of the prison as possible. So I think this is going to be my kitchen, so I'm going to be getting lots of deliveries here because your kitchen needs food deliveries at least once a day. And what ends up happening is that if you've got if you have a kitchen fairly near the back or up here, it means your chefs will have to run all the way across most of the map or most of your prison just to get some deliveries from the delivery area, which is really inefficient. So you don't want people to be doing giant great journeys. So I'm going to have a kitchen and then a canteen, and then fairly centralish I'm going to have all my cell blocks, and then I'll usually put my staff at the back, and then about here and here I'll probably have my utilities, so I'll keep them somewhere just so they're out of the way. So I usually keep them up here. So I have all my staff blocks over here, not to this scale. I'm just going to pause it now because I don't want to be wasting money on payments for these builders. Okay, so I'm going to start with the design of the cell blocks. So I'm going to want to find the middle of the map. I'll just get rid of this because I'm going to properly design everything in a minute. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a line across here, and you can see when I draw this line right in the middle it says 135. So I'm just going to do half of 135. I'll just get a calculator on my phone. Is 67.5. So I'm just going to then move that back until it says 68, and 68 is our centre. So this is the centre of our prison. And what I'm going to do is then just draw a line up and down, just so I've got a centre kind of cross section. Okay, and from this I'm probably going to be building several prison blocks, and there is a way I do it. So I'm going to get rid of this actually. And when you build a cell, you'll have a 2 down by 3 across cell. So it'll be like that. Then you have a corridor in the middle, and then another cell. And then you'll have your doors, and then you'll keep doing this down. And I usually have 8 or maybe 10 cells down. I think I'll go for 10 just because the numbers, you then know you've got 20 per block. And I'm just going to plan these out. So that's 1, 2, there'll be 3 there, 4 there, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 there, 10 there. But what I'm going to be doing is I will get rid of these, and I'm actually going to put this here. And this is going to be a shower block. So what I'm going to have is I'm going to have showers across there, down here, along there. So this is going to be my shower, and then I'm going to have cells down here. So I'm going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then I'm going to want to have this down here. The only thing I may do... Actually no, I should be okay. I was going to say I could have an extra block, an extra space down here, but I'm not going to do that actually. And something I sometimes do is at the ends here I will have 2 solitary cells. So instead of having a solitary block, I'll just have solitary cells at the end. Because a lot of people make the mistake of thinking they need like 30 solitary cells, which you only will need if you have a very poorly functioning prison. So if you aim to not need solitary cells, you'll not need to build them. And then therefore you can just have 1, maybe 2 solitary cells per cell block, because you'll need solitary cells if you end up having solitary cells as a punishment for having contraband, which contraband is always a problem. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to measure this out. So this is 11 by 35. So what I'm then going to do is go on here, go 11 by 35, and then 35 by 11. There. Okay, so I'm not going to bother planning these all out because I don't need to. And I'm just going to get rid of that, just so it doesn't look silly. And get rid of the fronts of these, just leave those in. So I know where one of my cell blocks is going to be. I'm not going to build them all straight away because it's silly. I don't need to build all of these at the same time, and I don't need to plan them out, because once I've got one built, by then I should be able to have the clone tool, and I'll just be able to clone each of these couple of cells and just plonk them all down and build it straight away. Okay, so I think I'm now going to go into foundations and build a whole block as one, which costs 3,850, and right click to get rid of that, and then I'll just play it at normal speed, and I'm then going to start planning out some other areas. So all you have to do if you want to like figure out what you're going to need to build is go into the the report section. You can go to grants, and you can then look at all these different things. So you've got basic detention centre, which tells you need a holding cell, shower, yard, kitchen, canteen, 2 guards and 2 chefs. So I'm going to click on that, and that gives you some money straight away. And I'm not going to click on the others yet, but I will be building all the things on this list first. However, saying that, I'm actually going to get the administration centre grant as well, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to build my planning. I'm going to build my staff block. So I'm going to put my my office block fairly near the back, because your staff literally will stay in their offices. The only reason they'll come out is to rest. So then I'll have a staff room over here, and because the staff don't need to be in their offices to do anything, they can literally just run around. But I don't want to waste the space right next to the front, because I want that for things that need deliveries, so workshops and kitchens and canteens and things like that. Okay, so if you go into rooms, you can look at offices. So an office needs to be 4 by 4 plus walls. That means the foundations are going to need to be 6 by 6. So I'm going to build that a little bit away from this, and then I'm going to have 6 by 6. Get rid of this wall. And then from here another 6 by 6, another 6 by 6. And also, if you look at staff and count how many different people you will need to have offices, you can then figure out how many offices you need to build. So from the top you'll need 1 for the warden, 1 for the chief, and foreman, psychologist and accountant. So you actually need 5, but I'm going to be building 6 because there are other rooms that you may end up wanting, which will require a roughly similar sized room, so things like cleaning cupboards. Although I will be building a larger cleaning cupboard later. Okay, I'm just going to pause it again because I've seen these guys have finished. And I'm also just going to dismantle this tree, which is something you can do if you wanted to quickly get some money. You can go on Objects, Dismantle Object, and click on all these trees. And what that'll do is it'll task them up to be chopped down, and and when they're chopped down, you get the money from it. So you can just go around this is why trees are quite useful. You can just get a tiny bit of money quite early on for just chopping down some trees. So I'm just going to get all them to be chopped down and then get on with building this. So I'm also going to get foundation, and this is one trick that a lot of people get wrong, which is they'll build one of these as foundation, and then they'll build another bit here, and they'll build it all individually. You want to build things preferably all in one block. So when I did my cells, I did the whole cell block as one block of foundation. The game is a very good game, but a lot of people moan that it's very complicated and buggy. It is buggy, but only if you know how to, if you don't know how to avoid the bugs. So if you build this whole block as one block, it will be built perfectly fine. I hope I haven't cursed that by saying this, but it should be perfectly fine. So these trees are all being chopped down by these workers, and what you can do is you can then go to objects and you can click on sell objects, because you'll get lots of logs. So somewhere, if they chop the trees down, there you go, you get logs, and you can go on sell object and you can click on that, and it got $150. Which isn't much, but if you've got nothing else to be doing, why not? Okay, so these foundations haven't been built yet. I'm just going to speed up time even more, and hopefully everything will get built. So when this is happening, just click on Sell Object, and then you can find where the trees have been chopped down and sell all the logs that have been left behind. So this is a little trick that they introduced because you have a new room called, well, a new room. It's not an actual room, but it's called forestry, and what that is it means you can have an area that will be planted with trees by your gardener, and the gardener will chop these trees down, and they will be used. Well, either you can just sell the wood that you get from it, which is a bit silly because it's a bit of a waste of space really, because you don't get that much money from them, or you can build a new object they've recently introduced, which is called a carpenter's table, I think. Yeah, here. Which now requires a lot more complicated things. Okay, so this cell block's been built. So I'm just going to finish by putting in a jail door right in the front. And what I'm also going to explain now is that if you've built this fence all around your prison, as long as this front door is closed, prisoners will not make attempts at escaping. So even though I'm putting a jail door here, when it's in place I will lock it open. This will just speed up things because a lot of people have lots of jail doors all over their prison for security, so you think if prisoners break a door then they won't just run straight out your prison. This should now all convert into a building. There you go. Now instantly I'm going to pause because what they're going to do is try and put all these lamps in straight away, and I don't want that, so I'm just going to click on, I'm not going to click on anything, but if you open the objects menu you can then right click to deselect all these lamps from being built. Because these have been built as well, I'm just going to go to staff doors, and I'm just going to put in staff doors. I'm only going to put in one at the moment, because if you put in lots it can go a bit buggy and you'll end up messing up your kind of foundations, so you'll end up having lots and lots of bugged out foundations, which I find is one of the biggest problems. And when you first start playing the game you will notice that there's so many little problems with this game, but they're all avoidable, and if you know how to avoid them, that's fine, because otherwise you're going to be struggling to play this game quite a lot. So these have cleared up all the logs. What you can do is just go over here and sell them all. So just click on this sell object thing and you can then sell all your logs, which is just a really simple way of getting rid of everything. Okay, so yeah, you can see they've just installed this door, and there's another door that should be going in here. And I'm just going to quickly pause as well, because these lights are being installed and I don't want them to be. I prefer to put in lights manually just so they look okay. It's a big faff having to do it every time, but it's just because lights, if you've got, especially in cell blocks, you end up having lights all over the place. It just looks very ugly. So I'm just quickly going to put in another cell door, another staff door, sorry. And that is where I'm going to end this episode. So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, I'll hopefully see you in the next series, in the next episode, and I hope you have a nice day. Goodbye.